All right, well, I got my prop all ready to go. And now let's get into this. Alright guys, so I just got done watching Knuckles on Paramount Plus. It is a 6-episode series all about Knuckles trying to find his place at home, and the only way to do that is by helping Wade, the other cop in Green Hill, become a warrior by training him so he can win a bowling tournament. That is the story we got going on for us in this show. I want to let you guys know there's going to be a spoiler-free review, but I may bring up some things that happen later in the episode, but I'm going to try my best to make sure that they don't spoil anything involving the overall show. So we'll start out with the characters, and we gotta start with the character that's in the title of the show, Knuckles. And Knuckles was easily the best part of this show. Idris Elba has proven to me that he's actually a really good Knuckles. When he was first announced as Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I was just like, no. And not because I just don't like the actor, I couldn't hear Knuckles' voice through him. And then even in the trailers and sneak peeks for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I was still just like, I'm not sure about this. And then when I saw the movie for the first time, I was like, okay, I get it. And it wasn't until the second time I saw the movie with my two best friends where I was like, okay, you are a good Knuckles. And this series, once again, just proves me more wrong. He is just great as a character. I think he's understanding him a little bit more as he plays him, which is super exciting because I want him to now continue playing Knuckles throughout the rest of these movies and shows. And then you got Wade, who honestly, I actually kind of liked Wade. He was very funny. I think he had a lot of good parts. Not everything landed. But he is a pretty good character, especially with Knuckles. I really like their interactions between the two of them while they're training and fighting bad guys. It was actually really entertaining to watch. You also got Wade's mom, who was just nice. She was just there, you know. She's somebody that's just wants to be with family, even though they kind of annoy her. And I don't know, she was just a nice person. That's all I have to say about her. So that's all the good characters. Let's talk about all the bad characters, starting with the villains. It's not the fact that the villains were bad, it's just that the villains were not given enough to do. There were two gun agents that were actually secretly working for this guy named the Buyer, who used to work for Robotnik, but after Gunn tried to get rid of Robotnik's name and all that stuff, they also went after him, and then he went underground just to sell robot parts. The two gun agents were actually pretty cool. You know, it's cool to have people, you know, going behind their backs and like, you know, only using gun to really get certain information. That was really cool. The thing is that they're only in the first 2 episodes, and then they're kind of gone until the very end. And then their ending is just kind of, okay, whatever. And then the Buyer, I feel, was the most disappointing part because he was barely in it. I think he was in the first episode and then the last 2 episodes, but only for a little bit. And, you know, to have a character that used to work for Robotnik is really, really intriguing, but it's just... It seemed like he was just there and still building robots just to be like, well, this is what I do. He didn't really have a reason to keep building robots or to give him a reason to really go after Knuckles. He's just, I'm a bad guy. I'm bad. That's kind of it for him. And another bad guy is Wade's dad. You know, the whole story is about Wade going to this bowling tournament so he can actually meet up with his father who abandoned him. And he was a little goofy and kind of underwhelming. Like I said, he really was seen to be just shoved in there just to be a bad guy for Wade. And yeah, he was quite a character. But, you know, this whole bowling tournament takes place in Nevada. And it's kind of a Vegas-like area. And if you've been to Vegas, you know people can be a little bit weird. When I went to Vegas, I saw 2 things. I saw a lady yelling at a bush. And I saw Batman and Paw Patrol hanging out outside of a P.F. Chang's. So I give him a little bit more benefit of the doubt with being a weirdo because he is in Nevada. And Vegas is Vegas. Even though it's not Vegas, it's actually Reno. Which is that? Is Reno in Vegas? I don't know. And then you also have this, like, friend of Wade's who's not really his friend. And he's like a bounty hunter. And he has one of the most oddest parts in the whole show. And the whole time, he was trying to be like a funny Liam Neeson. Except he wasn't funny. Or Liam Neeson. There's also another Sonic character in the show, Pachacamac, and he was kind of shoved in. He was shoved in just because they wanted to get another Sonic character in, and yeah, that's all I really gotta say for him. They could have removed him from the show, it would have not changed much. And then have you ever had a character where you're just like, it would make no sense, but if this character were to die in the show, it would make the show so much better? That was Wade's sister. Even at a point in the show, Wade's like, I don't care if she dies. Like, he actually says that. And I'm like, even he gets it. It's not the fact that I hate the actress, it's just the way they wrote her. It's so weird because she works for the FBI, but she has the mentality of a crazy person. Even if you hate your sibling, you are an adult. Do not stab them with a fork. So that was all the characters. Another thing that was really, really good in the show was the music. It had a lot of 80s and 90s hip-hop, rock, and pop punk. Music from Blink-182 and Good Charlotte were in this series, so I feel like that was for me because I'm a big pop punk fan, so thank you, Paramount. And now the overall story itself. And this is something that I really want to touch on because some people got to see the show before I did, and I was reading their tweets on social media, and everyone was saying, wow, where's Knuckles? And I was like, oh, that's not a good sign. But I'm like, you know what? You're the internet. You don't know what you're talking about. Nope, they knew what they were talking about. I watched the series with my wife, and the last 3 episodes of the series, every episode, she was like, where's Knuckles? And I'm like, I don't know. The whole story is about Knuckles trying to train Wade to become this warrior, and through Wade's eyes, that's just becoming a bowling champion or whatever. A really cool idea, but I feel like they knew what to do for 2 episodes, and then that was it. They did a 3rd episode with, like, meeting Wade's family, and that's okay. You know, it wasn't much training there, but there was, like, a fight sequence put in there that was kind of unnecessary. I think they put it in there just for family bondage, so that the sister and the mother could be in the rest of the series. And then after that, they just make it a Wade show, and they really do. There's so many situations in the last 3 episodes that I feel like you could have had Wade and Knuckles be there together, but they just didn't. They just made it all about Wade. There's a part where Knuckles is doing something, and you're like, oh, here we go, we're about to do something. And then it cuts to Wade for like 10 minutes, and you're like, okay, I guess we're not showing Knuckles. And there's something I want to talk about. There is an episode where they explain Knuckles' origins, which sounds like a really cool idea. You know, it's about his origin story between the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and when the echidnas have all, died and gone away. Very cool to see what Knuckles was doing that whole time, but they tell it in the most oddest way ever. And along with that, they bring in, I'm going to say, a Sonic element. I'm just going to say that for the sake of spoilers. And while I never expected them to ever put this Sonic element into the movies or shows, neither was I ever like, I really hope they use this. They still used it. And just like with anything, make it good. I'm all about changing a little bit of the source material to have something a little bit different for your own movie or show. I'm all about that. But you got to find that balance of this is my own take while I still, pay honor to the original content. And for this thing they added in, like I said, while it's not a big part of the Sonic franchise, it's, when it is in this franchise, when it's in the game, it's a pretty big deal. So the fact that they just shoehorned in, and on top of that, it has nothing to do with Knuckles, like, at all in the games. So the fact that they attached it to Knuckles in this weird way, it was so odd. And then Knuckles got powers because of it. And once again, it makes no sense. It's like this. Imagine you're going to go see Super Mario Bros. 2 in the theaters, okay? And Toad has the powers of a piranha plant. And he says in the movie that he has those powers because he fought Petey Piranha. It makes no sense, right? That's exactly what it was. The only thing that relates those two is that they're both in the same universe. But they don't connect. And that was the episode where my whole happiness just left. And I was very, very doubtful the rest of the show. And unfortunately, I was correct. Because, like I said before, it's all about Wade, talking to his dad, connecting with his dad, defeating his dad. And everything about Knuckles in the last couple episodes is just, it's minimum. It's very, very minimum. The last boss fight with who you can guess is the buyer is the final boss. All I'm going to say is that, remember, it's a Wade show at the very end, so. Speaking of the ending, it has one of those endings where it just ends. It's just done. When I was watching it, it took me a couple of seconds to realize that the credits were playing. I was actually like this. Oh, we're done. Oh, okay. That was Knuckles? Yeah, so overall, guys, the first 2 episodes were very, very strong. It really set a good tone for what the series was hopefully supposed to be, and I was really, really excited about it. But then it does become a Wade show at the very end. And when Knuckles is in the last few episodes, it's still really good stuff. It's not like it's bad Knuckles material, but it's just so minimum in the last couple episodes. So if you're a Sonic fan or a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog movies, I would still say go watch this just to see what's going on. They may make a couple references from the show in future, but I highly doubt it. For me, would I ever watch Knuckles again? No. Would I ever watch Knuckles again when I'm marathoning all the Sonic the Hedgehog movies and shows? Maybe. Depending on what else happens in the future and if Knuckles really plays a big part in it, which I highly doubt because it's the Wade show. Overall, it was just a disappointment. It had its good ups, but had a lot of downs. And it left me very unfulfilled. However, I feel as though this is not going to affect Sonic the Hedgehog 3. They had a lot of different directors direct these episodes. Yeah, some of the producers from the movies came back, but the movies have been good. This is their first time doing a Sonic spin-off show. So I'm giving a little bit more benefit of doubt, and I'm still very hopeful that they're going to do Shadow Justice in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, as well as all the other characters. So at least I didn't lose hope of that when watching this show. So I was going between 1 and 10. I'd honestly give Knuckles like a 4.5. It had its good ups, but the lows were very, very low. If you're a Sonic fan, I still say go watch it because, it still has Sonic elements here and there. Knuckles is still really good. So you may end up liking it, but not loving it. So I still say go watch it. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts on Knuckles were. What did you like about the show? What did you not like about the show? And what did you think about the show overall? That's going to do it for me today, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time.